scheme of registration of charitable trust and religious trust and other recent changes under Income Tax Act. As the new procedure, new rules have come in force, it necessitates us to be well versed with it. For this, we have with us very renowned and elite speaker, CA Suhas Malankar sir. We welcome you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for enlightening us on this crucial topic on this Saturday morning. To brief about sir, I would like to request CA Kishore Mehta to give formal introduction of sir. Kishore, over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Ritu ma'am, for giving me an opportunity to introduce eminent speakers Suhas K. Malankar ji. Suhas K. Malankar ji is a BCom and he's CA since 1987. He's a proprietor of Suhas Malankar and Company Chartered Accountants. He has won many prizes in curricular and extracurricular activities in school, colleges, and at university level. He was a lecturer in accountancy in junior and degree college in Mumbai for 3 years. He has experience of 33 years in full-time practice in Mumbai. His main areas of practice are handling tax matters, both income tax as well as GST, handling corporate and non-corporate audits, and also have extensive experience in charitable trust, charitable society work, including their tax matters, their audit, registration, their compliances with income tax authorities and charity commissioner office. He has also obtained FCI registration prior permission from FCI wing of Home Ministry for his clients. He is founder convener of Goregaon West CP study cycle of WIRC. He was convener of this study cycle for 3 years, that is from 2005-6 to 8-9 until date. He is actively associated with the same study cycle as a coordinator. He is also a regular speaker at seminars organized by WIC, its branches and study circles in Mumbai and other places in Maharashtra on the subject of taxation and other law related to charitable trust. He has also delivered lectures at Balegaon and Thiruvananthapuram branches of SIRC of ICI on this subject. He is contributor to reference manual published by WIC on the topic of the Maharashtra Public Trust Act for past several years. He has regularly he is actively involved and regularly makes representation to finance ministry, other ministry and state governments and local authorities on the problems of SSC and general public. With this, I would like to welcome you, sir, and sir, the dice is yours.
Yeah. So may I start?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
First of all,
Thank
thank you, Rituji, Sheetalji, and Nikunji for inviting me here for your study circle and for requesting me to share my thoughts. In case of this new scheme of registration, there are two parts of my presentation. Say, first of all, I'll devote major time to the new scheme of registration, and if the time permits, if some time is there, then I'll touch upon the latest amendments which have been made by the recent budget. So to begin with, this new scheme of registration of charitable and religious trust under Income Tax Act. Now going to the background, say position. So what was the position till 31st March 21? Say we are all aware that registration under section that charitable institutions, for the sake of simplicity, I will refer to these institutions as trust. Basically, the benefit under section 11 or section 12, most of the trust SSCs or the charitable or religious SSCs claim benefit under section 11 or 12. There are certain SSCs who claim benefit under section 23C also, say educational institutions and hospitals, etc. But most of the trust or institution claim benefit under section 11 or section 12. Mainly the exemption benefits are lined up or mentioned or provided in section 11 mainly. Now for section 11 benefit, that person to have section 11 benefit or the trust to have section 11 benefit, The registration under 12A or 12AA is a prerequisite. First of all, since beginning, since from the days I remember, that is from the time I started my practice, there was section 12A, and that charitable trusts were required to register under section 12A for the purpose of getting benefit for themselves, that their income should be exempt under tax. For that purpose, they are required to be registered under section 12A. Now, from 1997, one more section was introduced effective 1997. That was section 12AA. So 12A requires that now there onward, that is 97 onwards, 12A requires that application has to be made and then
हाँ,
registration
अरे एक
has to be
सेमिनार में, वो एक
granted
घंटे
to
के बाद फोन करता हूँ. हाँ, एक सेमिनार में हूँ, बाद में बात.
registration is granted by following procedure under section 12AA. Now this was the position till 31st March 21. So only few days back this old chapter is closed and new chapter is started. So all the registrations which were there, say 97, prior to 97 there were 12A, post 97 it was 12AA. Then ATG, certain trust or certain charitable trust wanted to go for this donation, taking donations from public. They were having registration. That is not registration. ATG 5 is not registration. It is approval. But pardon me if I interchangeably use the
दूसरे फोन
word
से फोन
registration. So it
दूसरे
is
फोन से फोन कर रहा
ATG
हूँ.
approval
फोन कर रहा हूँ दूसरे फोन
and
से.
then approval under
फोन
section-
कर रहा हूँ दूसरे फोन से.
Hello. Hello. I am audible, no?
Yes, sir, you
Hello.
are very much audible.
Okay. So this all these sections 12A, 12AA, 12AA is gone. Now 12AA is not there. Section 12A is amended. ATG 5 is amended. 1023C is amended. Now earlier, the registration till 31st March 21, these registrations were one time. That is 12A since beginning it was one time permanent. 12A, 12AA, ATG 5 also sometime back in year 2009 till year 2009 ATG was granted for 3 years. Thereafter 2009 onwards, October 2009 onwards, ATG also made permanent. And sometime around about that time 1023C was also made permanent. So all these registrations under Income Tax Act were one time and permanent. But this is going to change. I have used a word in presentation. I have not noticed it. I noticed it subsequently only, that going to change. No, it has changed. Not going to change. It has changed with effect from 1/4/21. So now, so what has happened? What has happened from 1/4/21? This is what has happened. The various amendments, as I told you, there are various amendments have been made in section 11. 11, there is subsections 11(7). And with respect to that 12AB section has been introduced in the law. So wherever there was a reference of registration under 12A or 12AA, along with that now 12AB is inserted there most of the time, mostly. Then section 12 is there, similar changes. 12A is there, 12A 1AC, that is 12A subsection 1, in that clause AC has been inserted afresh. Then 1023C, few old provisions have been removed and new provisions have been inserted. Then as I have told you, section 12AB is a new section. Instead of section 12AA, which was giving a procedure for registration, now 12AB gives a procedure of registration. And 12AA, as I told you, has been deleted. And similar amendments have been made in section ATG 5. So what are the amendments made for the purpose of section 12A, 12AB? Similar, more or less similar amendment scheme is similar in ATG 5 and scheme is similar for 1023C. I'll devote more time for main area, that is 11, 12, 12A and 12AB. Now these amendments, from where these amendments have come? Whether these amendments have come with effect from or they have come with this budget, that is budget 21. No, these amendments were made in the Finance Act 2020, that is budget of 20 only provided, that is last year's budget, not this year's budget contained all these provisions. And thereafter, as you are aware, budget was presented on 1st of February 20, and thereafter in a few months, that is from March onward, there was a COVID pandemic, spread of COVID pandemic. And what happened thereafter was everything went haywire. So basically these provisions were to be introduced or were to be effective from 1st of June 2020. 1st of June 20 was the date from which these provisions were to be made effective. But the finance ministry on its own or on representations made by some parties postponed the date to 1st October 20, that is 1st October last year. Sometime in the month of September, we made a representation. I myself drafted a representation along with my friend Vijay Joshi and made several requests or suggestions to the finance ministry. Pertinent or important among that was, first of all, as far as old trusts are concerned, they should not be asked to go for a fresh registration or new registration. That was our first request. I gave some data there or some information there. Say, according to my rough estimate, there should be around 30 lakh or 40 lakh trust in the all over India, which must be having registered registration either under section 12A or 12AA or ATG or 1023C. So about 30 to 40 lakh trusts will have to go for this procedure that we indicated to the finance ministry. Secondly, what the main point that I suggested was that this should not be existed for old trust. Only new trust should be asked to go for this procedure, but they did not listen. And there is some procedure for ATG they want to start, and they have very much started that process. That will also I'll touch upon. I'll explain that ATG 5 details of donations to be provided. I explained, rather we asked and requested, made a humble request that these should not be implemented in the form which has been envisaged or in the form they have come first time in the act. But nothing has happened. And what has happened is when we made representation to finance ministry, only thing that has happened is they shifted the date of effective date. They shifted from 1st of October to 1st of April 21. So now here we are, 1st April 21 has come. Old registration are no more. All the trusts which were registered under old law under section 12A, 12A, 85 or 1023C, relevant clauses, that is clause 4, 5, 6, 6A, etc. That is hospital dispensaries, etc. So all these religious and charitable trusts, they are no more registered under Income Tax Act, and the old registration is no more valid from 1st day of April, and they will have to go for fresh registration. Along with that, now there is one more important point to be noted is, earlier, as I told you, the registrations were permanent, approvals were permanent. But now the registration will be valid for only 5 years period starting from 1st of April. So registration will not be for a permanent period, and it will not be one-time exercise. Every 5 year, even old trust or existing trust will have to go through this exercise. Every 5 years, this exercise will have to be done. Now, process for registration was not different in case of new registration, was not different under old law. Their rigorous process was there. You were required to submit accounts, you were required to submit details of activities and all that, and the donation details, and then bank account statements, everything. All these things was required to be submitted along with application, not along with application, but subsequently physically. Application was online earlier. Few years, that is last 2 years, as I remember, application was made online, but the details, etc., were to be submitted physically, and they were verified physically by the CIT exemptions. And then if they were satisfied, the approvals or registration were granted. But now for the new trust that they are saying that old trust, they will grant permanent or registration for 5 years. But for new trust, what they are saying is that they will grant provisional registration, which will be valid for 3 years. And once the trust gets provisional registration, again, he will have to go for, the trust will have to go for a final registration, that is 5 years registration. We'll come to it. Details of it we'll see. Now all new forms are introduced for this purpose. We'll see what those forms are. Now this is an important point. Benefit of exemption. Benefit of exemption under section 11, 12, 10, 23C, 4, 5, 6, 6A will not be available unless the trust is either registered or approved, or either provisionally registered or provisionally approved under section 12. I think I have made a slight mistake here. It should be 12A, 12A1, then 10, 20, I think 12A1, it should have been 12A1AC. It is mistake. Say then 1023C. Here. Now coming to what is the new scheme? Let us see details of new scheme. Now what is the new scheme? Scheme for trust registered under section 12A, 12AA. Now two new forms have been devised. That is form number 10A and form number 10AB. But most of the cases, the applications will have to go in form number 10A. Form number 10A is a electronic. It has to be filed electronically. Let us see what are the options. These sections, relevant sections I have mentioned in the note. I am not referring to this. 12A1AC, 12AB is a new section, and relevant rule is a 17A, which gives form number 10A. Now here, the trust which are already registered, means the trust, my registration, I am a trust and my registration was valid. That is my registration under section 12A, 12A, or my registration under section 1023C, or my registration under section 80G5. Similar, same form. That is form number 10A is there. And this form number 10A is to be filled up in two eventualities. One, that is old trust. They all will have to make an application in form number 10A. Now, when this application has to be made, the time has already started. From 1st of April, the application has to be made, and the 3 months time is available to all the old trust, and they should make an application up to 36/21. Now, what will happen if they do not apply before 36/21? Nothing is provided in the law. Time being, let us assume that all these trusts somehow have to make an application before 30th June. So 3 months starting April, the up to 30th June application has to be compulsorily made by all these trusts, old trusts. Now, another thing that I have said, that absolutely new trust, which is not registered under old law, which is going for registration for the first time, those trusts also have to register, go for registration, and the form is same, form number 10A. But the first case, registration will be granted for 5 years, and the second case, the registration will be granted, provisional registration will be granted for 3 years. That is the difference. Now, just briefly see where the form number 10AB is required. This section 12AC is there, section 12AC is there. This gives all these eventualities. Similarly, 12AB contains all these eventualities. What are the eventualities? First eventuality is trust already registered. Second eventuality is trust going for the new registration, provisional registration for the first time. Subsequent eventuality is this. Now, all other cases fall under section 10AB. What are those cases? These are the 4 cases which will not be going in form number 10A. But mostly what I feel is all the present cases or new applicants, either old applicants already having registration, and again new applicant will have to go in form number 10A. So this is for academic purpose. I am explaining academic purpose in the sense will not be immediately required. Say form number 10A is this. It says the trust who are granted registration for 5 years under new section 12AB, means new section has become effective. Now all the registration to old trust will be granted under section 12AB. They will be granted for 5 years. So 5 years means say 22 first year ends, 23, 24, 25, 26. So year 26, that 5 years period is getting over. So 31st March, the 5 years period is getting over, I think 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, correct. 26 March, that 5 year period is getting over. That time this eventuality will kick in or will become effective. So not relevant now, and the application has to be made 6 months prior to the expiry of period of 5 years registration is due to expire. Okay, so not much relevant now, time being not relevant. Second case is this, by trust which has been provisionally registered for 3 years period, and provisional registration is due to expire or has commenced activity. Now, as I have explained, first of all, for provisional registration, trust has to make an application in 10A. Now, once trust makes an application in form number 10A, it will be granted provisional registration. Now, provisional registration will be granted for 3 years. So, when provisional registration is about to expire, 3 months, 3 years time is about to expire 6 months before that. So, there is still time for it. But there is one catch here. One has to remember, provisional registration, it appears that provisional registration will be granted by following a simple procedure, and once this provisional registration is granted, thereafter trust commences a activity actual. So without looking at activity, provisional registration will be granted. It appears to be so. And when the new trust commences activity, within 6 months of commencement of the activity, the trust has to make an application, and this application will go in form number 10AB, and then that registration, by following a rigorous process of verification of the document, CIT will have to be principal CIT will have to be satisfied as to object, and then satisfied about the object, satisfied about genuineness of the activities, etc. All these parts is satisfied, then only that provisional registration will be converted into final registration, and final registration will be granted. So the provisionally registered trust under new law are going for final registration. There, this application has to be made in form number 10AB, to put it in simple words. Then thereafter, these last two eventualities are there. They are there in only in case of 12A. They are not there in 1023C, and they are not there in 80G. What are they? Where registration of the trust or institution becomes inoperative due to provision to section 11(7). What is that? Say, since long department has been trying that the benefit under what trust used to do, if their claim for benefit under section 11 or 12 was failing before the authorities at the time of scrutiny, they were saying that we are entitled to benefit under section 1023C, say educational institutions, hospitals, etc. Those who are entitled, those who are so eligible. So people were claiming double benefit either under section 11, or they were alternatively claiming benefit under section 1023 or 23C. But that has been plugged sometime back, 3-4 years back. I don't remember the exact date, but this has been stopped. And now the same thing has been provided here. It says, when the trust is approved, when the trust gets approval for the purpose of 1023C, and it is entitled for benefit under section 1023C, then this registration under section 11, that is section 12AB, benefit will not be available. So benefit will be available vice versa. So either benefit will be available under provisions of 11 or 12, 11-12, or benefit will be available under section 1023C. I am not referring to or not going into details of this 1046, because 1046 are very rare category cases. These are trust or bodies or corporations formed by mostly central government or state government under the law of parliament, etc., or provincial act. So not much relevant. We have to remember that either benefit under 1023C is available, or either benefit under section 11 is available. So you are getting a registration under 1023C, so you are not entitled to have a registration under 12AB. So there, this vice versa, you will have to go for application under section. So seizing benefit under one section and how to get benefit under other section, then you will have to make an application here. This is also a rare phenomena, not applicable to all the trust. And this is the last situation where the application in form number 10AB has to be made, where this also they have provided some time back, and this has been introduced in the new section as well, or incorporated in the new section and rules also, where trust goes for modification of the object. Now, modification of object per se is okay, but modification of object which do not conform to the conditions of registration, there, say, I think this is a tricky wording. I don't think any charitable organization will go for modification of object which will not comply to the conditions of registration. What are the conditions of registration? It has to be charitable or religious organization. That is main condition of registration. So once it satisfies that it is a charitable and religious organizations, where the question arises for going into this clause. So mostly I don't think this clause is useful. The income tax department has provided it, and they want to treat the trust as not eligible for benefit and want to tax under section 115 TD in case of such eventualities if the application is not made within 30 days. So let us remember to simplify the things. These are the four evaluations.
I guess there is some problem from the speaker's side. Request members, please wait for 5 minutes.
Let me try to see.
Sir, you are on mute mode. Sir, please unmute yourself.
Okay. Again,
Sir, आपकी
screen share.
voice नहीं आ रही.
हेलो, अगेन स्क्रीन शेयर करना पड़ेगा क्या?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
हाँ सर, स्क्रीन शेयर करना पड़ेगा.
हाँ करता हूँ. हाँ, ओके, आ गया ना?
आ रहा है सर.
Sir,
आ गया ना?
आ गया.
Okay. So, okay. So application in all cases, all the above cases to be made to principal CIT or CIT. Okay. So has been designated. What are the documents to be attached? Now documents to be attached. This I have taken out from the rule itself, but this gives a exhaustive list of the documents. All the documents may not be there. All the documents may not be required in all the cases, but some of the documents are required in each and every case. So what are the documents which are required in each and every case? First thing first, that is whether it is an application under form number 10A or 10AB, but mostly, as I have said, applications will have to go in form number 10A for old trust or totally new trust. And what are the requirements? Here, I would like to bring to your notice that it was not possible for me to cover all the instructions or print all the instructions in my PPT or the presentation. So you are requested to go through the notification itself, which gives item, because various situations are there. What are the documents are required to be attached? They have provided slight difference is there. So according to that, one has to submit the attachments. And even I would say that for each and every form, I am covering form also. For form, what is to be filled up in each column or each row that they have, against each row that they have provided. Here now going to common requirement. These are common requirements, as I have said here. First thing first, that copy of the trust deed, say self-certified copy. Remember this word. So whatever you are submitting will be self-certified copy. Earlier they were copy certified by charity commissioner, registration certificate certified by charity commissioner, ROC document certified by charity commissioner, etc., etc. So that is not there now. Copies will be all the copies, whatever copies of document you have to submit, they are to be self-certified by the trustee or director or managing committee member, generally speaking. Now, so first requirement of the document is copy of the trust deed in case of trust, memorandum of association and rules and regulation in case of society, and in case of Section 8 company, it will be memorandum of association and memorandum of association and articles of association. So depending on the documents, you will have to submit these documents. Then thereafter, what are the documents which are required? That copy of document evidencing the creation of establishment. This is also a rare case. In case of very old trust or in case of very old temples, there may not be a trust deed or any proper document in writing. So any other document which shows existence of the trust, that has to be submitted. This is not much relevant in most of the cases, but where it is relevant, that scope has been provided. Then thereafter, copy of registration certificate, either granted by ROC, Register of Companies, or either granted by Charity Commissioner, or either granted by Register of Societies. So that registration certificate copy has to be submitted. Then if you are registered, the trust is registered under Foreign Contribution Regulation Act. If at all it is registered under all trusts are not required to be registered under Foreign Contribution Act. Only trust we are getting foreign contribution from foreign donors from foreign countries are required to get registration under Foreign Contribution Act. So those who are having local donations or donations within India or people from India are not concerned with this. Then copy of existing order granting registration under Section 12A or 12AA. Now, first of all, it is 12A or 12AA. So old trust, it is 12A and 12AA. And going forward, the registration will be granted, approval will be granted under 12AB. So subsequently, 12AB copy or registration granted under 12AB. Thereafter, what is there? Supposing in past your application for 12A or 12AA was rejected, then copy of that order, and organization is in existence for more than 3 years. You are going for registration or approval, and your existent trust is existence for several years. So the maximum 3 years accounts are required to be submitted. But here accounts are not required to be submitted. As it appears, the accounts are not required to be submitted in the case where the last return has been filed. I'll come to details of it. If the last return, in simple word, if the last return, income tax return is filed, 3 years accounts are not required to be attached. Where a business undertaking, this is also a rare phenomena in case of some trust where there is a business undertaking, but this is not there for form number 10A. This is there for form number 10AB only. So may not be required for most of the cases. So 11.4. So where section 11.4 is applicable, their business undertaking is settled, and business undertaking itself is settled in the trust. There the copies of 3 years account, etc. are required, and the copy of audit report. If the prescribed limit under section 44 AB are crossed, business is being carried out. So business is being carried out, then the tax audit limit is crossed and tax audit is applicable, the tax audit report. Similarly, here if the person is carrying out, a trust is carrying out a business, in that case the profits and gains of business are there, then 11.4A becomes applicable. So both these sections are related to business undertaking or business, or if there is a income from the business, then accounts of business. Remember one thing, if there is a business, either 11.4 is applicable or 11.4A is applicable. Both the cases here, the copies of accounts may be required. Now here, subsequent. Copy of document evidencing adoption or modification of, this is a peculiar requirement where there is adoption or modification of object, and note on activities of the applicant. Earlier in each, and you may be remembering, those who are carrying out practice in this area must be aware that they used to carry out a elaborate verification, CIT exemption office, that is ITO HQ, his inspectors, used to carry out a elaborate verification, and for that purpose, you were required to submit notes on activities, then all the details and all that. This is not there. This is not there in case of form number 10A. That is first form most of the trust will have to fill. This is not there. This is a saving grace, or this is a useful thing. Only with form number 10AB it is required. So most of the cases, the note on activities also is not required. And remember, in more form number 10, even the bank account copies are also not required. So it so appears. Now going forward, just a moment, give me a minute. Now form number 10A and 10. Now these are procedural aspects. Form number 10A and 10AB shall be furnished electronically. Now under digital signature or through electronic EVC. You are aware where in case of Section 8 company, only digital signature is required to my knowledge for return filing purpose. And if the audit is required under Section 44AB, then in that case, here the digital signature will be required through EVC. Okay, electronic verification code. So without digital signature also, form number 10A or 10AB can be submitted. Now similarly, rules are similar to filing of return and verification. These are similar rules. Form shall be verified by the person who is authorized to verify the return. And now this is important. Now once the form is submitted, what rule says? Rule says on receipt of application in form number 10A, the principal CIT or CIT mark this word shall. Please mark this word shall. So principal CIT or CIT shall pass an order in writing granting registration or provisional registration under subsection 12AB1 in form number 10A and issue a 16-digit alphanumeric unique registration number to the applicant. So here in all the cases wherever a registration approval is granted, there will be 16-digit alphanumeric number that will be granted by the Office of Principal CIT or CIT. And when the application is made by the old trust in form number 10A or absolutely new trust for provisional registration, there the word used is shall. So the CIT, if all the documents that are enclosed are proper, no further inquiry seems to be carried out by the CIT. There is no scope for carrying out inquiry, and the order has to be passed, shall pass the order. Now, how the order is to be passed? In case of old trust, registration has to be granted for 5 years. And according to me, it has to be effective from 1st April 21. And newly applied trust, this registration, provisional application, provisional registration has to be granted for 3 years, starting again from 1st of April. Now here, there is a catch. Here, I'll cover one more point here. Old trusts are there. Their order is to be passed within 3 months. So supposing a old trust is making application in the month of April, this month itself, April, then May, June and July. By July end, the CIT or principal CIT has to pass an order within 3 months from the end of the month in which application has been made. Within 3 months, order has to be passed. In case of new trust, the time is still short. Time is not even 3 months. If a new trust is making an application in the month of April, the provisional registration or approval has to be granted within 1 month only. Okay, moving further. Subsequent cancellation. Now, as I told you, the word used is shall. Even in the sections, we'll come to the sections later. But since these rules are detailed rules, I am covering the rules first. And for sections, I have prepared a separate chart. I'll refer to that chart little later. Here, subsequent cancellation. Now, say first of all, there is no such provision in sections that are there, relevant section. There is no provision in 12A. 12A, 1AC or 12AB for cancellation directly like this. But here in the rules, they have made provision like this. Subsequent cancellation, if at any point of time it is noticed that form number 10A has not been duly filled, provided false or incorrect information, or documents which are required are not provided, form is not digitally signed, not verified, or form is not verified the person who is required to verify it. In this eventuality, they will say that principal CIT or CIT, after granting an opportunity has to be granted before cancellation, and it cannot be done without granting an opportunity. But this provision, that is sub rule they have introduced, which gives a provision for cancellation. There is another provision for cancellation. I will come to it little later. That is there as per old law. You are aware that provision for cancellation is there. That is, activities are not genuine, not carried out according to the object, etc. Those provisions are there. So those powers are there. They are different powers. So here in the rule itself, they have provided that normally what happens, any registration is granted. My understanding is, so far our understanding was this: any authority, it is assumed that all the documents that required to be submitted prior to registration are submitted, all the verification that is required to be done by authorities is done, and everything is complete and proper, and then only the authorities have granted the registration. But here they have kept this window here. Let us see what happens in future. Now, what is the effective date for provisional registration? As far as old trusts are concerned, if you are making an application before 30th of June, your registration will be in continuation. That is, from 1st April 21, you will get registration. As far as old trust is concerned, actually they have drafted the section very clumsily, and now in rules also they have come out with a very clumsy provision. I will read out the provision. Effective date for provisional registration in case of new registration. In case of an application made by trust for the first time during the previous year, beginning on the 1st of April 21, means now, the provisional registration shall be effective from the assessment year beginning on 1st April 22. What does this mean? Means I am making application anytime in the financial year April 21, financial starting from April 21 and ending on March 22. So for this financial year, effective from this financial year, I will get the registration. That is what it says. Actually, the wording is draft. They have given wording is wrong. What they have said is, here they are talking of only 1 year. They should have drafted this provision in a different manner and said whenever the application is made during this financial year or previous year, the benefit will be available from the beginning of the assessment year relevant. Means from that financial year, benefit will be available. Actually, they have goofed up while drafting a section. I'll come to it later. And they are trying to cure that defect by means of this rule. Anyway, to put it in simple word, whether it is a new registration or whether it is a old registration, and application is going for old registration in first 3 months and application is being made by new trust in this year, the benefit for this year, that is financial year 21-22, benefit of exemption will be available. Now, last part here. In case of application made in form number 10AB, the order of registration here, okay. Now this is a different scenario. This is not applicable to old trust. This is not applicable to trust who are applying for provisional registration. These are applying to other 4 cases I have told you, not really relevant time being. But it says in case of application made in form number 10AB, registration, rejection, or cancellation. Okay. So all these 3 eventualities are there for form number 10AB. Form number 10A, there is only eventuality, that is shall grant order of registration or provisional registration. Please remember this difference. And in case registration is granted under form number 10AB, similarly it will be 16-digit number, etc. Now what is the action? If the form number 10AB, this is also of academic purpose, I am just covering in short. If at all application under section 12AB, but this is not for form number 10A. This is not for form number 10A. This is for form number 10AB. And what is the action under section 12AB has to be taken? the detailed procedure that you are aware, detailed procedure that was being carried out by the CIT office, same procedure will be carried out by the office of principal CIT, but the process will be electronic process. They will have to be the authorities will have to be satisfied themselves about the object, genuineness of the activities, compliance of the requirement of any other provisions of the law, which is material for the purpose of achieving the object. Everything similar, no change. So detailed procedure is paid for or kept for 12 AB applications, and detailed procedure is not there for say 10 AB application, and detailed procedure is not there for 10A applicant. Now here, after receiving application, he has to pass an order, either registering the trust for 5 years, or he can reject the application. And if provisional number has already been granted, or provisional registration has been given, that registration can be cancelled, and it will be nonnes. Then supposing your registration is cancelled under this procedure, that is detailed verification procedure, then in that case it will be deemed that provisional registration was never granted. That is what they are saying. That copy of order he has to send. This is there, copy of order has to be there, everywhere copy of order has to be there in writing. And time limit for passing the order within 6 months from the end of the month. Okay, within 6 months from the end of the month. Forms are different. Granting approval under in form number 10 application is there, it is 10 AC, whereas in 10 AB application is there, form number 10 AD approval will be granted. Now we are aware that as far as the income tax returns are concerned, TDS returns are concerned, there is system in place for form, its structure, and that processing, etc. So here, principal director, the rule, principal director general of income tax systems, or director general income tax or system, as the case may be, shall lay down the form, data structure, standards, and procedures for furnishing and verification form, passing of order, then etc. Okay, before going to forms, I'll go to forms. Okay, before going to forms, let us see summarized position. It will be easier to understand and easier to remember. Then I'll go to form number 10A and 10B. So major part of my lecture would be over. Major or important part. Now, summary of new scheme of registration of charitable and religious. This table I have prepared myself, considering all the scenario. But this table, remember, is not based on the rules that I have covered. There is a slight variation which I will explain to you. But otherwise, what rules say and what this section say is more or less the same. It has to be same, but there is slight difference which I'll explain to you little later. I'll explain. There are 6 cases, that is under section 12A or 12AB, summary of new scheme of registration of charitable and religious trust or institutions. Under section 12A, or now as I have said, it is 12AB, new section has been inserted. Now what are the eventualities? Which is the subsection I have given in the first column? What is the situation I have given in second column? What is the which application has to be moved, form of application, and when the application has to be done? This I have mentioned here in third column. And what is the action principal CIT or CIT has to take? This I have mentioned in fourth column. And time limit for passing the order by CIT, principal CIT I have mentioned in fifth column. First case. This is the case of trust already registered under section 12A, 12AA. Now, as I have explained, application has to be made within 3 months. Form number is 10A, and the application has to be made between 1st April 21 to 30 June 21, 3 months. Once you make this application, all the documents, etc. are proper, attachments are proper, then action under section 12AB by principal CIT. What is the action? He shall pass order within 3 months from the end of the month in which application is received by him. So as I explained, I have made application in this month only, April, trust has made application, May, June, and July. By July end, the order has to be passed by principal CIT, and order has to be, validity should be for 5 years. Clear? So application has to be made in number 10A and the order has to be passed in form number 10AC. And I am anticipating that there should be no rejection in whatever may be the case, there or existing cases, there should be no rejection because the word used are shall pass order registering. Here, case number 2, as I have explained in detail, this is the case number 2. The trust which will be registered now under section 12AB, new trust, and their new trust will be registered and 5 years period is gone. Thereafter, this will kick in. So now I am not covering this. Then this is a detailed verification process. This is a detailed verification process, and 6-month time limit is available to the principal CIT. This is not relevant for us now. Then trust which is provisionally registered under section A. This is quite relevant. This may be relevant where your trust is subclause 3 of 12AC1. So subclause 3 of 12AC1 says the trust or institution provisional registered under section 12AB means I have made an application in form number 10A. I am a new trust and I have been granted a registration for 3 years, provisional registration. And when my provisional registration is about to expire, 6 months, 3 years period is about to expire 6 months prior to that, or if I have commence activity, maybe in first year or second year, so I have commence activity and within 6 months of the commencement of activity, so whichever is earlier, either my period of 3 years is expiring or in the first year I have commenced the activity. So within 6 months of the commencement of the activity, the trust has to make an application. And application has to be in form number 10AB. Okay. And say procedure will be same. So detailed verification process will be there. Now registration becomes inoperative due to that I have explained to you, jumping from 1023C and 11, either you are going for benefit under section 11 or 1023C. So or vice versa, there again this clause will kick in, subclause will kick in or will be relevant. And subclause 5 is for change of object, not relevant time being. And this is the clause which is relevant for us. Okay. This is last and residuary case. This is for again, this is for applicant who are making application for first time, provisional registration case. So this is where the incongruity is, this is where the anomaly is, this is where the difference is in the wording of the section and the wording of the rules. Here it says at least 1 month prior to the commencement of the previous year, relevant to assessment year from which the registration is sought, application has to be made in form number 10. Say this is supposing I want registration, I am explaining. I want registration, trust want registration effective 1st April 21. So when the application was to be moved up to 28th February, I am giving an example. So if I want registration from this April, effective from this April, 1 month before commencement of that previous year, financial year, I have to make an application. I think this is a drafting error. What they should have done is instead of commencement of the previous year, they should have used the word assessment year. So what would have happened? So if I am making an application 1 month before commencement of the assessment year, that is during the financial year, 1 month to spare for end of the financial year, up to 11th month of the financial year, I am making an application, then I am relevant for entitled for benefit for that financial year. That should have been the scenario, and that they have tried to rectify it. Let me come back. Let me come back. Here in the sub rule 7 that they have provided, I'm just recapping. Just to recap, effective date for provisional registration in case of new trust not registered under old or new provision. In case of an application made by a new trust for the first time during the previous year beginning on 1st day of April 21, the provisional registration shall be effective from the assessment year beginning on 1st day of April 22. Means for this financial year benefit will be available, but this meaning or interpretation is not there, or the meaning is what has been provided is slightly different. This is wording of the section, and it is a error, I feel. It is a drafting error, I feel. So here in this case, it says wording is in case of provisional. Again, I'm stressing this point. Shall pass an order in writing provisionally registering the trust. So CIT has to, principal CIT2 has to pass an order for registering the trust provisionally for 3 years. Okay, copy of order has to be given, etc. And the order has to be passed within 1 month. Application has to be made in form number 10A, and order has to be passed by principal CIT in form number 10AC. So this is similar for old trust, and for new provisional registration, this procedure is similar. Only difference is order has to be here the time of application, and here the time of passing order. In the first case, that is old trust, it is 3 months time. Here in the new case, it is 1 month time from the end of the month. Now, few important points. Registration under section 2A must for claiming benefit of exemption. So as it was there, registration under section 12A or 12AA was required. Now, treatment of pending applications. All applications which are pending on 31st March 21, on which no order has been passed up to 1st April. That means up to 1st April application is pending. They will be treated as application under last clause. That means that application, that is a application, new application only. New application has been made by, say, in the month of February or March this year, or say 2-3 months back, say January, February, March, new trust had made an application. All these applications where orders are pending, where will be treated as application falling under new section, residuary subsection or residuary subclause. That means it will be a case for a provisional registration. Now, power of cancellation of registration. As I referred in rules, they have provided a window for cancellation of registration. Here the in the subsection itself, 12AB4 and 12AB provide for cancellation powers, which are on the line of old section 12A3 and 4. That is, activities are not genuine, not carried out according to the objects, etc., etc., etc. So that is same. There is no change. Then year of applicability of exemption, this I have covered here. Say only important point why I have included in my presentation is this existing subsection 12A2 is as it is, intact, not changed. So what it says, year of applicability of exemption under section 11 and 12 as per section 12A2, where an application for registration has been made on or after 1st June 2007, the provision of section 11 and 12 shall apply in relation to income of such trust or institution from the assessment year immediately following the financial year in which such application is made. More or less, this position is intact. The application is being made in this year, so the provision benefit will be available for that financial year. Further, in 12A subsection 2, you are aware that 3-4 years back they have introduced these provisions, and which say, so benefit for earlier year. So benefit for earlier year also will be available there. There are no changes there. Only the provisions have become second, third, and fourth provision because insertion of new provision there in the subsection. The meaning and interpretation and everything, the status quo is maintained. So if the trust as on date of, so what it means, benefit for earlier years. When trust benefit for earlier years is continued, when the trust was not registered, when your object and activities are the same. Past year you are not registered, but the object and activities now you are registered. On the date of registration, if any application is pending before any assessment is pending before assessing officer, in that case the assessing officer has to grant a benefit of section 11 and 12. So benefit of past year will be available. Those sections are not removed. That is what I want to bring to your notice. And no action under section 147, no reopening. Everything is same, no change of the provision. Now I will go to in continuation of what I have discussed. I'll go to form. That will be better before going to ATG 5. Here. Now this is the form. Form for the form number 10A. Old form was there 10A. You are aware. Form has been substituted. This is a new form. And application for registration or provisional registration, both the cases. Here it starts with PAN. Okay. But if you go now, how the form is to be filled up, you have to go in login of the SSC, that is trust login is there. For the purpose of income tax return filing, you go there. So same is the process. There you have to go, and in the logging you will get that form number, submit other instead of income tax form, you will be selecting other income tax other income tax form you will be selecting instead of income tax return. So other income tax form, when you are selecting, it will show form number 10A for new registration or provisional registration. And here, as far as here in the rules, this I have copied from rules. Here it does start with name. It does not start with address. But once you take that form, it gives it a pre-filled manner. These details of name and address are pre-filled. Address can be changed. If the correction is required in profile setting, you can go and the address can be changed. PAN number also, I feel I have tried 1 or 2 applications. So PAN number is also pre-filled. Okay, name, address and PAN number is pre-filled. Now what is the section code? Just a moment. Now section code will be, I'll go here. Here, there are instructions, as I told you. There are very elaborate and detailed instructions. You have to, I will request all the people who are concerned with this type of work or who are carrying out the registration for their client trust, they are requested to go through the to cover it in a 2 hours session, and very detailed and elaborate instructions they have provided for each and every row. They have provided what is to be filled up. But here are the codes. I am coming to see they first, this is part of the instruction, because instructions are running into 3 or 4 pages for form number 10A. So impossible to cover here. The name and address and contact details as per the database of the applicant will be displayed on the screen, and they are filled up in the form also. Then the application for registration under section either 12A to 80G or 1023C. Here, remember, this is again a case of form number 10 is a case of old trust or a provisionally the trust with new trust requires provisional registration. All the cases are covered. That is, it is either 12A or old 80G or old 23C or new registration under 12A or new registration under 80G or new registration under 1023C. All these clauses are there. And what are the clauses? 12A, this is code is 01. What is 01? 01 is old trust and 02 is new trust going for the registration for the first time. Similar is the case. These are for 1023C. The 4 clauses are there. You are aware, clause number 4, clause number 5, clause number 6, and clause number 6A. All these cases are covered here. Here, subclause 4, subclause 5, subclause 6, subclause 6A. These are educational institutions or charitable or renowned charitable institution or religious institution or charity. These all 4 clauses are there. There was an application and approval process was there. That is replaced now. So this is the new process they have to follow and go for registration. So these 3, 4, 5 and 6 are for old trust, and 7, 8, 9 and 10 are for absolutely new trust under section 1023C. And this code number 11 and 12 are there for 80G and 80G5. So the trust which is registered under 12A and similarly 12AB, again 80G registration is required here. This first case is for 5 years, means you are a old trust already having 80G registration or approval, and here this is the last 12 number code is a code for what? Code 12 is for provisional registration under 80G. Now, what are the documents required? I'll come to documents required little later. Now, let us go to the details of the form. This section code I have explained from either a normal trust is there, section 11 or 12A, either it will be 1, a section code will be 1. So, old trust is section code is 01. And provisional registration under section 11, that will be 02. Okay, ATG, it will be 11 and 12. Okay, nature of activity, either it is charitable or religious, or there are some trusts purely charitable, there are some trusts purely religious, there are some trusts which are religious come charitable, combination of object. So click the particular type. Then type of consideration, the trust may be trust itself, it may be a society registered under 1860 Act, Societies Registration Act 1860, or it may be Section 25 company earlier and Section 8 company now, and any other legal obligations are there. There are quite a few cases, rare cases, which are not falling in that 1, 2, 3, that is trust, society or company, but still they are legal obligations and entitled to the benefit because wordings of the present sections or dispensation allows them for a exemption benefit. So those cases will fall under last category, but most of your cases will fall under trust, society or company category. Now these are basic, whether the applicant is established under an instrument. If there is an instrument, your most of the cases will be governed by instrument, that is either trust deed or memorandum of association, rules and regulation, or memorandum of association and articles of association in case of company. So likewise, if the applicant is established under an instrument, say yes, most of the cases will fall in this category. Now, date of incorporation, creation or registration, you have to fill this date here. Then this is as per Trust Act, this is as per trust deed, or this is as per society registration memorandum and rules and regulation. And in case of company, there is only one day. Okay. So date of incorporation, creation or registration. So this is basic registration. Then authority granting registration, it could be charity commissioner, it could be society registrar, it could be ROC. So you have to fill up here. Then or choose the option. Objects of the applicant, whether the trust deed contains clause that the trust is irrevocable. Now here there is a problem. Earlier in most of the old cases, that irrevocability clause may not be, so there may be some difficulty, but as far as my understanding is there, if there is no clause stating that trust is revocable after some time or by following this and this action, and there is no clause as to revocability, the trust is irrevocable according to my understanding. And we used to give explanation to CIT exemption when we were asked to elaborate or clarify, your trust deed does not contain a clause of irrevocability or dissolution. We used to explain that, sir, trust is, once trust comes into existence, it is a permanent. So it is, if there is no specific clause, then it does not require, it is to be treated as irrevocable. But here, as far as this form is concerned, they have made two categories, and you have to, if there is no clause, you have to say no. If there is a clause, you have to say yes. What stand department takes, we'll have to see. Whether the applicant is registered under Darpan portal. Darpan portal is, may not, few may be aware, few may not be aware. I'll just explain in a 1 or 2 minutes. So that is, I think 40 minutes are available to me, no? Hello? Hello?
Yes, sir.
40 minutes are available to me, no?
Yes, sir. Correct, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Major part I have covered. Okay. So whether the trust deed contains a clause, that I have covered, and whether the applicant is registered on Darpan portal. Darpan portal is for, earlier what they did was, this new government came into power. They started the Darpan portal. And at Darpan portal, their objective was to provide a data, create a database of the trust. That was their laudable objective. But they were forcing the trust, or they are making it compulsory for all the trusts which are going for government grant, that is state government or central government. As far as we have some school trust and all that, there they have not made it compulsory. To my knowledge, till now, they have not stipulated this condition, but central government may be asking it for the, wherever there is a central government help or assistance is there. So where there is a central government help, that Darpan portal is relevant, and people have to apply there and make a registration there. That is also an online process. Basic details are to be provided, and the applicant is registered over there. Sometime back, for the purpose of FCRA, they made a precondition of registration on Darpan portal. but thereafter maybe there were complaints or whatever, they removed and they made it that registration on Darpan portal will be optional. So now the that is a the shifting sands or a shifting sand government is following as far as Darpan portal is concerned. So forget about it. If you do not have a registration under Darpan portal, no need to fill anything here. If you do not have registration under FCRA, no need to fill anything here. But in case of old trust, you must be having registration under section 12A, 12AA and ATG. So these details are to be filled up over here. Now one question that comes to my mind, and it is that is and this is a solution according to me. Say whether my trust is registered under 12A or 12A as well as ATG, and in that case whether I have to make a single application for 5 years ATG and 5 years to 12AB registration. According to the May, answer would be no, because see, subclause for 12A is different, 01, 5 years, and subclause for ATG, that is code for ATG for 5 years is different. So if I am making an application for 5 years registration, continuation of registration for ATG, code will be 11. So necessarily, mostly, according to me, a different application will have to be made for ATG and a different application will have to be made for 12A. That is my understanding. Coming back. So income tax details, etc. Once you fill up income tax details, so income tax details are to be filled up. Now, date from which registration is effective. Most of the income tax registration are effective from they mention their assessment year, etc. So not the date of the first date of previous year has to be mentioned. That is what has been mentioned in the instruction, not the first date of assessment year. My old registration is effective from which date? Let us say 10 years back I have taken registration under ATG, or 10 years back I have taken registration under 12A. So that date of the beginning of the financial year or beginning of the previous year, that is the date which has to be filled up. Then in some cases in ATG or 1046, etc., there the date specific date is given. If your registration is effective, FCRA specific date is there. There is no financial year. Then ATG, there is generally, according to me, specific date is there. So in that case, specific date is to be filled up. Otherwise, it is from the beginning of the most of the cases. That is 12A cases and 1023 cases. It is effective from first of the previous year or first of the assessment year. You have to fill up here date of first of previous year. Here then thereafter authority granting registration, it will be CIT. Earlier there was sometimes DIT was there. FCRA registration, that FCRA registration is there. Then Department of Foreign Affairs, that is Home Ministry is there, FCRA wing. So accordingly you will have to details here, okay? Or Darpan portal is there, whatever. But in income tax it is CITE or DIT exemption if you are holding registration. Here I have noticed if you open the form, it is sometime giving a correct particular pre-filled particulars of your last registration. But if they are not proper, you edit those details. They are editable, so you can fill those details of fresh if it is not giving. In some cases, it was giving details of assessment. So if they are not properly filled up and not auto-populated in the form properly, you fill up those details. Now, earlier, if application is rejected, that details have to be filled up, whether claiming exemption under clause 20. This is Scientific Research Association. I'm not going into that. Most of the time, most of the cases will not require this. And now these details of author, founder, settler, trustee, member. So this is 9A clause is there. These are details of author, founder, trustees are there. Here, serial number. There is 1 trustee, 2 trustee, 3 trustee, 7 committee members, or 2 directors, 3 directors, 10 directors, whatever. So name of the trustee or managing committee member, director. Relation, this word is misleading. It is not relation actually, it is designation. If you go to a drop down, there is a drop down provided, a drop down or instructions. I don't know whether it is a drop down or not very sure. But what the instruction says, it is that is we have to fill up their trustee, or whether it is a author or founder or a trustee or a director, that we have to fill up. Percentage of shareholding in case of shareholder. This will be there only in case of Section 8 companies or Section 25 companies where there is a share capital and percentage of shareholding of that person is there. In that case only this will be relevant. Trust and society, this will not be relevant. Now unique identification number is here, ID code is, if you are saying that code number 1, that is PAN. Code number 1 is for PAN. If the trustee is having PAN, the code number will be 01 or 1, and the unique identification code will be PAN number. If it is Aadhaar card, the code number will be 2, likewise, and Aadhaar card number. And that other options are available. Supposing trustee is not having PAN, trustee is not having Aadhaar card, then passport is their option, driving license is there, voters ID card is there, even ration card is there. So all these options are there. You have to select appropriate code. Then address of the trustee, mobile number of the trustee, email ID of the trustee. Now this is not much relevant. If any of the person is not an individual, then provide the following details of the natural person who are beneficial owners of 5% on. This can happen in case only in case of, mostly in case of companies where the trust is settler is a company, then there are no separate trustees and all that. Or this is a slightly confusing clause. This is slightly a confusing clause. I'm not very sure about this, but this will not be relevant in most of the cases. Most of the cases here the details have to be filled up in 9A part only. Here even the director's details are there. So this is slightly confusing part, but not relevant mostly. Now here, this is a slightly clumsy part. Sorry. Here. Has return of income been filed for last assessment year for which the due date has been expired? Actually, the return of income is required to be filed in case your Section 8 company, all cases return has to be filed. No option is available. Okay, company return has to be filed compulsory. But in other cases, the option is available to the SSE, that is trust or society. If your gross income, that is gross receipts, are not crossing 2,50,000, you are not required to file a return. But now here there will be advantage or disadvantage according to whether you have filed return or not. You are liable to file a return and you have filed return, fine. But you are not liable to file a return and you are not filed a return. But if you say the return has not been filed, and that attachment part, it says that what will happen is 3 years account copies will have to be attached. Answer to this is yes. They are saying, instructions are saying, if the answer to this is yes, means the return has been filed, then the 3 years account copies are not required to be attached. Just give me a minute. Sorry. Now here the clumsy part starts, or the problematic part starts. But what I have noticed is we have to see that none of the application in my case or our case are filed so far. We have just filled up application and all that. What is happening is it is blanking out this part. This part is blanked out, means this, what it says, the details in row 11 to 19 are to be provided as on the date of application. Actually, if at all they ask for these details, it will be terrible. It will be very problematic. Considering, I'll see there are some chats. If I'm able to open chats, I'll see it little later. Let me finish this part. Okay, these details are, the details in row 11 to 19 are to be provided as on the date of application. Means what? I want to fill up form today for a particular trust. So what details it asks for? Corpus details it asks for. On which date? Not on 31st March. Not on 1 year before. This asks for details on date of application. I think it is impossible to perform this. This will be impossible to perform. Okay. This will be impossible to perform, but impossible to provide. And supposing these details are asked for, this 11 to 19 details are there. 11 to 19, no, not 11 to 19. 11 to 20 details are there. What are they? Details of corpus, fund, reserve, and reserves other than corpus, long-term liabilities. Okay, then other liabilities, land and building, other fixed assets. So all these details, then investments, then investment as per section 11(5), then investment not as per section 11 subsection 5, then other asset. Means this is a provisional balance sheet. But provisional balance sheet up to what date? Provisional balance sheet up to the date of application. But saving grace is, I feel so, they may not be insisting on this part as far as the old trust are concerned. Whether they insist on new trust to provide these details, again there will be confusion as to the date on which these details are to be provided. Okay, so corpus etc., funds etc., the investment etc. Then 20, income received in 3 previous year immediately preceding the previous year in which the application is made. These details are there. Time being, they are not asking for these details. And whether the fund or institution has incurred any expenditure of religious nature similarly for 3 years. Okay, they want to ask for these details, but this part is not they are not asking for it. Okay, I feel main part. Let me see if I can open chats. Details of trustees is present trustee or present trustees. Details of trustees is present trustees. Details of trustees, present trustees. Okay. Sir, query from member Unmesh Narvekar. Acha, Unmesh ji is there. Okay. Then detail of, okay, let me see. Let me move this. I think I have covered. How many chats are there? Okay, Ritu details. I'm not able to move this. Okay. I request members to mute them. Okay. Okay, waiting. No audio. No audio, no video. I'm audible, no? Hello?
Sir, you
Yes, sir.
are perfectly audible.
Yeah,
You
okay.
welcome.
Okay. Details of trustee. I think this is being repeated. Okay. If there is anything left out, Rituji, just at the end of the session, we'll take up. Okay. If anything is left out by me. Okay. So I'll go to presentation again. Okay, most of the part I have covered now. As far as main application is concerned, and these are the documents required, I have for your convenience. This is for section code 01, that is old registered trust, instrument of the trust, that is trust deed, then registration certificate, then documents by which your trust or society or company has come into existence, registration under in contribution act, existing order granting registration has to be enclosed. And this is for provisional registration. Provisional registration, these are the requirements. I have already explained similar requirement, that trust deed, etc., registration certificate, documents governing the trust, then annual account copy. Annual account copy, in case of there is a difference between final registration for 5 years and provisional registration. If you have filed a return, in case of old trust, they are not asking for annual account. But if it is a provisional registration, they will in any case you will have to submit copies of annual account. And business undertaking, I have explained, if there is a business undertaking 3 years account. If here one thing I would like to explain here, as far as accounts are concerned, these are for maximum for a period of 3 years, and for which the accounts have been made up. Means I have to understand it this way. Now I am sitting for I'll sit for making an application. So account for 31st March 21 are not available with me. So can I fill the account, or can I provide the account if at all they are needed up to 31st March 20? Yes, according to me the answer is yes, because of these words which are included in the instruction, for which such accounts have been made up. Because my return due date is away. Return due date is either say 30th September I have to file a audit report, and 30th October etc., 31st October etc. So here I have time for filing return. Okay, and otherwise also, if the audit is not required, cases falling below 2,50,000, But even if the cases are falling below 2,50,000, the audit under any provision of the law, either Societies Act, Trust Act would be there. So the audit date is far away. 30th September is the date of audit, and 31st October is the date of return. So the time is there. So till that time, I think they cannot insist on account for 31st March 21 ending, and you can submit if required account for 31st March 20. Okay. Now I'll go to form number 12 AB. I am not covering now, but just a moment. There are few additional details, and which will be okay. In 5 minutes, I'll deal with form number 10 AB. Some important part I will deal. Okay. Now time remaining is very short, so I'll not go into much detail. See, all these details are common. This is a detailed verification process. This is not relevant now for old trust or provisional trust. Not relevant now, but for academic purpose, I am just bringing. I am just rushing through it. All these details up to one PAN, section code, etc. They are okay, similar. Here up to details of all authors, founders, similar. From here onwards, the difference starts. From point number 10 onwards, form number 10A, I think there are 21 points on which information is required, and form number 10AB, there are 27 points. So here, so additional points are there, form number 10AB, because they want to carry out that 6-month process of verification. So here the details, what they say, details of school, college, university, hospital, yoga institute, religious places, any other institution being managed, controlled, and administered, owned by the applicant. Here, these are the details to be provided. Name of the school, college, university, if at all it is there, nature of activity, whether owned by the applicant, whether it may be owned by the applicant, may not be owned, but the applicant may be running a school or running a religious place, but he may not be owner. Okay. Now, person in charge, supposing an organization, hospital or anything, say supposing there is a separate, a big temple, or this thing is, say, a school is there, then in that case, a person in charge, name of the contact number of that person. This is in addition to the details of the trustees. Now, if applicant has business undertaking, those details are to be provided here, whether the separate books of accounts are maintained. If the applicant is carrying out business and then there is profit and gains of business, whether the business is incidental to the attainment of the objects, there is a tricky question that will have to be answered, and whether the separate books of accounts are maintained. Let me caution you, 11.4 or 11.4A, your case is falling. Separate books of account is must, it is advisable. Here, details of all accounts held by. So this is not there for form number 10A. These are there for 10AB, bank account details. Then details of all land and building. This is to be provided. Then address of land and building, size of land, then purchase consideration, paid payable, stamp duty at the time of acquisition, mode of acquisition, whether acquired or gifted, date of acquisition. Elaborate details. And here 15, in case of advancement of any other object of general public utility, you are aware these details are required in written form. On the line, they have asked for these details. So whether it involves carrying on any activity of the nature of trade, commerce, etc., you are aware. Section 2, clause 15, and provision of it. So whether of general public utility and there any business is there, and whether the activity is incidental, all these details, and the total receipts, their percentage, whether it exceeds 20% or not, that you will have to see. Here, their return of income was point number 10. Here, the return of income is point number 16. And the details in rows 17 to 21, they are common. Corpus and all that. I do not know in whether these details are even in provisional case, the details are required or not. I do not know. But if in provisional case details are required, it will be a slight exercise that we were to prepare a provisional balance sheet. The same exercise will have to be undertaken, and one will have to take a call up to what date, because this says at the date of application, one will have to, according to his intelligent mind, this question has to be answered, that I will provide detail up to 31st March 21. Beyond that, providing details is not possible. You will have to take call yourself. Then here, similar details and details of grants, etc. And whether the institution is of religious nature, then 3 years details of religious activity, expenditure of religious nature, etc., etc. This is more relevant in case of ATG, where the ATG, because say if there are if it is religious and charitable, the spending on religious purposes should not exceed 5%. Purely religious institution will not give ATG. To my knowledge, they will reject. And purely charitable and religious institution will get a new registration, that is 12AB registration will be there, but ATG will be there for charitable only. So here this question is relevant, that is what is the percentage of spending on religious purposes. Then code number are similar, but here 10AC is for 10, application is in 10A. This is say order for registration or provisional registration, and this is order for registration or approval or rejection. As I have said, if application is form number 10A, there is no direct scope for rejection. It has to be order for approval or provisional or registration or provisional registration. But in case of 10AB, all the three eventualities, that is registration, that is cancellation, etc., rejection, all are there. This is for that 10AB, 10AD. Okay. And this 10AC will be old cases. Old cases, this registration will be granted for 5 years in this 10AC form. Now, I think 16 minutes are remaining, but I think 10 minutes I will cover that ATG part. And then I think we can go for question and answers, because most of the thing I have covered. Okay. Here. Okay, no. Okay. So like the trust have to go for this will not take much time. Don't worry. This will not take much time because process is similar. ATG 5 process is similar as we have discussed at length. Old trust application is same. Form number 10A. Trust already approved. We'll have to apply from starting 1st of April. Time has already started, and up to 30 June application has to be made. Form number and new trust want provisional application for the first time. Form number same, 10A. Procedure is same. 10AB, there are only two cases. So remember, 10AB and 1023C only four eventualities. First eventuality is old trust. Second eventuality is new trust, first time applying. They will be granted registration under 10A and Form 10A. And Form 10AB remaining two eventualities where trust is already registered or approved for 5 years under the new provision. This will not be relevant now, or by the trust which is provisionally approved for 3 years. So under 10A, I have made an application and my trust is approved, ATG approval for 3 years is granted. Then again, I am going for 5 years approval. Here this. So 4 scenarios. Application in both the cases to be made to principal CIT. Documents to be attached similar document. Only difference is here self-certified copy of existing order granting registration. There it is copy under section 12A or 12AA. Here it is ATG 5. 1023C, here the difference is 1023C. That is the only difference. Supposing in past, in case of provisional cases or new applicant, if the order of rejection was there, then order of rejection has to be attached. Applicant has been in existence for past years, 3 years account, etc. Same procedure is same, no difference at all, in procedure, no difference. Okay. So here again, I have prepared a similar chart, but for your information, as I have said here, there will be in 12A, there are 6 type of variations. Here there are only 4 type of variations. Okay. First of all, it is old trust. Second is old trust means first case is my old trust case. Old trust 80. So here I apply in 10E, I apply in 3 months, then I get a order. Within 3 months, CIT has to pass an order in 10AC. And last case that I will cover, which is more relevant, to us now. Clause 4. In any other case, residuary. So provisional registration, no registration has been granted till now under ATG, and even your application was pending on 31st March, but no registration was granted or approval was granted under ATG 5. In that case, here the application in again form number 10A. So these are the two clauses which are timing relevant. Treatment of pending application, same. A relevant section I have given. Now, important part, which you should be very much aware. Filing of statements of trust accepting donations under section ATG. At the beginning of my lecture, I told we have made request to finance minister for dropping this. They have not done it. It has become effective, and it has become effective from 1st of April. What this provision says, like for TDS, you are providing details of TDS. Similar to that, you will have to file statement. The trust will have to file details of donation received. If you have, your trust has approval under section ATG and you are collecting donations, then in that case the application has to be, statement has to be filed in respect of each financial year. According to me, that alphanumeric number, that is, I just simply forgot to talk about it. Alphanumeric number, that 16-digit number there they are providing, that will be common for I think that will be that system is same for 12A also. They will issue a 16-digit alphanumeric number. ATG also they will issue a 12-digit alphanumeric number. So that is what I feel. Application under 12A should be separate alphanumeric number may be there, and ATG application has to be separate because code number are different, and there may be separate alphanumeric number they will give or the same alphanumeric number they will give. That we do not know. So that we'll find out only when they grant registration to a trust who is holding registration under 12A as well as holding 12AA as well as holding approval under section ATG. So both the registration approval are there. In that case, what they do, whether they grant only one alphanumeric number, 16-digit, or the different numbers are given, that we'll have to see. But apart from that, there is no new number or no new application to be made. Only statements are to be filed. Form number is 10BD and the time starts now. From 1st April 21 to 31st March 22. This is the relevant period. Whatever details, whatever donations you have received, maybe 500 rupees donation, we made suggestion to set some cap or threshold limit. Say 200 rupees or 300 rupees donation is taken, that also may have to be, details will have to be given here electronically. The statements are to be filed electronically. Form number is 10BD, and though they are saying in instruction it can be filed multiple times, according to me easier course would be the 10BD shall be furnished on or before 31st May. Means for financial year that has begun from April 21 now and is going to end on 31st March 22. After 31st March 22, April and May, 2 months are there. Up to 31st May, I have to file this statement, and also I have to make available that certificate will be made available on the portal only. That will be form number 10BE, and that will be like, say we download form number 16A and 16 and 16A. That type of system will be made available. That is what I feel. That is what I feel. Okay. So donations. Now here, as far as the details of donation is concerned, in case of donation in joint name, supposing some donors have given donation in joint name, then person wise it has to be shown. If someone has specified that it has to be shown in my name only, or it has to be shown by in a different percentage. So you want to take benefit under section ATG 5. Donor wants to take benefit under section ATG. So whether single donor or multiple donors, say there is a provision here. So percentage wise you can show in a specified percentage, or equally if there are 2 donors and no percentage is specified, it will be equally. 3 donors are there, no percentage is specified, it will be 1/3, 1/3, 1/3 each. Now these donations will have to be classified by way of corpus, specified grants, or other donations. So simply by donation, it will not be sufficient. It is whether corpus donation or specific grant or other donation that has to be categorized. similar category has to be made, whether it is received in same donor. Category has to be whether it is received in kind, whether it is received in kind or in cash or in kind or by electronic mode, that is by banking channel or account pay check, draft, any other mode, etc. So these options are there in the form. Accordingly, these details will have to be provided: cash, kind, electronic mode, or other mode. Okay. Certificate, as I told you, certificate of donation will be form number 10B. So forms are 10BD and 10B. Mainly you have to fill 10BD, and B will be available on the website. That is what it appears. And now late fee as usual. If the form is not for this year, April 21 to March 22, form is to be filed. 10 BD form is to be filed latest by 31st May 22. And if it is not filed by that time, then you are required to pay late fee of 200 rupees per day from the after 31st May. Okay. And this will be maximum cap is amount of donation. Then penalty for failure to furnish statement, etc. In addition to that, late fee, they are not satisfied with the late fee. Beyond that, they have made a provision for penalty also. If you do not file, if the trust does not file the returns, this statement is not filed, then penalty can be from 10,000 to 1 lakh. New procedure for approval under section 1023, same process. This is for clause number 4, 5, 6 and 6A. These are either hospitals. 6 and 6A are hospital or educational institution, not for profit, solely for the philanthropic purpose or solely for educational purpose. Okay, these are the institutions 6 and 6A. And now because of the recent amendment that has been made, it will be, the limit is now 5 crore. So beyond 5 crore, if the gross receipts are there, the application, this is now that for small institution, this is the amendment is good amendment as far as in budget, that amendment that has come, that they have revised limit from 1 crore. I think I have covered everything. For similarly, for all the three cases, I have provided chart 1023C, ATG. I have prepared the charts and which you can refer in detail, but there is no time to discuss all this. For approval under section 35, tax benefit under section 35, there is a separate form. I am not covering that. That is a very elaborate form. Those who are going for those institutions under scientific research or research association, statistical research, will have to make application in form number 3CF. That is also there provided. So these are the forms. Most of it I have covered, and remaining 7 minutes are there, I suppose now. 7 minutes are there. I'll touch upon in 5 minutes. I'll touch upon important amendments made by budgets, and then if there are questions, I can here. Sorry. 10BD form. Here the 10BD form, that is statement that has to be filled up in case of donation. Statement of particulars to be filed by the reporting person under clause 8 of subsection 5 of section 80G, and this is common for 35 also, section 35 also. Okay, PAN and reporting period, and then unique identification number of the donor, ID code. Here these details are like, say, must be PAN, Aadhaar card, PAN card, etc. Section code, whether it is for ATG or whether it is for 35, section 35, various options have been given. Name of the donor, address of the donor, donation type, mode of receipt. So gear yourself for preparing or keeping these details. So where this will be a messy thing for the small trust, but the bigger trust who are getting donations, substantial donations or number of donations under section 80G, will have to brace themselves or prepared for this and start preparing details in this format. So additional point which appears to me is rest of the details were available from account, but the address details will have to be collected. Detailed address will have to be collected, and PAN and Aadhaar. If PAN and Aadhaar is not there, and then the other details, license, I suppose that might be there. Let me see what they are asking for. Yes, if neither PAN neither Aadhaar is available, then say this donor, from the donor, this is the additional details you will have to take in case of ATG. If PAN is available, PAN number, Aadhaar number, that is sufficient. Code number 1 or 2. If that is not available, passport number, voter ID card, driving license, ration card, this ration card number, etc., etc. Send in donation type, corpus donation, specific grant, others, etc. Then mode of receipt, cash or kind, electronic mode, others, etc. And 10B is a certificate. Okay. And these amendments, whatever amendments that I have discussed so far, are amendment made to the income tax rules 1962 by notification number GSR 212E dated 26 March 21, issued by Ministry of Finance. You pull out this notification because all these forms are there, properly given there. And secondly, you need not read rules. Rules I have covered. You can refer to my notes. They are more very elaborate. But as far as the instructions are there, please go through the instructions before filling the form. Now I will cover, actually this requires half an hour for covering this, but I will cover only important part now, only 2 minutes. You must had a session after budget, and learned speaker must have elaborated upon this, but I will explain. Nevertheless, I will talk about it for a 1 or 2 minutes. Amendment made by the Finance Act 21 to Income Tax Act regarding charitable and religious trust institution. Major amendment to section 11 effective from assessment year 22-23, means effective from this financial year. So corpus donation to be deposited, invested as per section 11.5. They have made they have created a problem. Let me say they have created a problem. If a trust receives a corpus donation, what they say is it has to be invested. It should not be spent. Okay. So when I am taking a corpus donation, it is for the purpose of spending. It is not for the purpose of investing basically. 11 subsection 5 was relevant in the case of 11 subsection 2. Means when I am carrying forward, when I am not spending in this year and I am making an application to the department and I want to carry forward it for 5 years, I want to claim benefit for, I want to spend in next 5 years. So setting aside for next 5 years, there the investment was to be, according to me, according to my knowledge, the investment was to be made in as per section 11.5. Section 11.5, 11.5, I cannot go into details of section 11.5 now, but in short, I can say that they are saving certificates of central government, then investment in bank account, the bank account of the scheduled bank or nationalized bank. Then scheduled bank, that is second schedule of the RBI Act 1934. You pull out that schedule, there are 300 banks, more than 300 banks are there. All state banks and its subsidiaries are not there. State Bank, HDFC, ICICI, all these banks are there. Even bigger bigger scheduled bank, that is cooperative banks, are like Saraswat, etc. there, Dombivli Nagrik are there. These banks are there. Okay. Then thereafter, deposit in any account with post office, saving bank, deposit in any account with central, in securities of central government, then debenture issued by company or corporation where principal and interest is guaranteed by central or state government, then bonds issued by corporation which is in industrial finance, bond issued by corporations company which is in housing finance like HDFC, bonds issued by which is providing long-term finance for infrastructure, etc. Then mutual fund as referred to in section 1023D, etc. So, but one important point there is investment in immovable property. 11.5 contains a specific item or investment in immovable property. So if you are not investing in immovable property, it is difficult. See, if I am getting a donation check time, I'll talk for just 2-3 minutes now. If I am getting a corpus donation, it is for construction of temple, or it is for construction of purchasing a office or premises, then I will collect, or trust will collect these donations for years together. Earlier there was no time limit for this. Now they have brought clumsiness into this provision. Supposing I have got a corpus donation, if I don't invest in for acquisition of, how can I invest? Unless and until I have say 50 lakhs or 60 lakhs or 1 crore, I cannot go for acquisition of property going by the current rate. So this year I got 20 lakh corpus donation. Next year I got 20 lakh corpus donation. So when I have fund of 80 lakh or 1 crore, then only I can think of acquiring a property. But then say, supposing I got for this provision says I got a corpus donation this year, you have to invest it in any specific mode which has been provided under section 11.5. So if it is not, then it will be become taxable. Highly dangerous provision, highly dangerous provision. We'll try to make some representation, because say when the budget was this provision was budget was passed, we could not make representation. But we'll forcefully either through institute or independently we'll make some representation through my contact, and try to see to it that some change is brought in this provision. This is a illogical provision, I can say. Only saving grace is only loophole seems to me is, first of all, no time limit is mentioned for making such investment. So first, one has to be careful that if I have received a donation in this year, before end of the year I invest in specific mode. Otherwise, after end of the year, it will become taxable, because there is no such provision like say we have for capital gain that before due date of the return and all that. That type of provision is not there. It simply says it has to be invested. So it has to be invested means what? So one has to presume it has to be invested. I have received donation this year, I have to invest it this year. But there seems to be one loophole according to my thinking and knowledge. That would be I have received a corpus donation this year, and I have invested the corpus donation in a fund specifically kept for corpus donation. So by 31st March, my corpus donation and my fund, that new investment matches. After I'm going in next year I can withdraw that amount from that investment, and I can invest, I can utilize for my purposes, and it cannot be brought to taxability, because this provision does not say ki whenever it is withdrawn from the investment it will be brought to tax. So this loophole according to me is there. So according to me, if this provision is not amended and not modified or not watered down, then in that case, what precaution, according to me, it has to be tested before tribunal, court of law, etc. But according to me, it will be, I receive corpus donation, I invest it in this year, and next year I am then utilizing for specific purposes. Department cannot bring it to tax. Then subsequently, this I am not going into. This is not possible. Only amount spent out of corpus. This is what they have said. Amount spent out of corpus donation not to be treated as application. That is what they are saying. It has to be invested. So what possibly has happened? Rogapeksha ilaj bhayankar. What has happened is, few people were spending out of amount received by way of corpus donation, and then they were claiming as application against regular income. So this they wanted to bar in reality, but they have done something very clumsily. And now last thing, any amount applied out of loan borrowing shall not be treated as applicant. This provision, I think drafting is wrong. When I'm taking a loan or borrowing, in the year I apply that money, say in that year only the spending should have been treated as application. But what they say, when you spend, they will not allow the application. But when you spend, when you repay the loan, that time they will allow it. Excess application of earlier year will not be allowed to be set up. This is also a dangerous provision. All these points I will, according to whatever might I have, I'll make a representation to the institute, to the finance ministry, and let me see if there is changes can be brought. I think Rituji, I have completed my talk, and thank you for inviting me to your study circle and giving me an opportunity to share my thoughts. And I have concluded. If there are any queries, you can let me know, because the chat box is again not visible here. If there is anything, let me know, please.
So Madam, Sheetal Madam, please take the queries.
Yes, sir. Sir, there is this query from Sumitra ma'am. Small trust receiving small corpus donation, is it covered?
All trust, no threshold.
Okay. Another query from Chetan sir, application under 12A and under 80G to be filed jointly or to wait for approval of application under
repeat,
12A and then to
please.
apply for 80G.
Please repeat. I think I have explained this. Application under section 12AB, that is for 12AB registration, and application under section 80G. All these have to be different applications according to my knowledge. Separate application. Okay.
Okay. And there is another one. If a non-operating trust if not applying for registration, then what will be the consequences?
Registration will be cancelled. Your registration is as it is cancelled on 31st March. The existing trusts which are non-operational, they have not made an account, they again have an opportunity for renewal. They can go for renewal. But since you have not filed return of income, I think they will ask for copies of 3 years account. So they will have to prepare 3 years account. And if there is nil level of activity, even in that case, I don't think they can reject the application. That is what I feel.
Okay.
Anything thereafter?
Sir, yes. Do we have to apply for registration a trust formed for gratuity fund?
No, it does not fall here. Gratuity fund that comes under section 1025, they are not charitable organization. Gratuity fund, they are different. They are not covered here.
Okay. And please guide for some small non-operating trust if they want to close.
As it is, say that is under, see, okay, yeah, I'll explain in 2 minutes. See, basically your trust must be either it is a section 8 company, you have to go for a finding a process. Either it is a trust, you will have to go for pass a resolution for closure and go to charity commissioner, or it is a society, you have to dissolve. So either of these process under the different law. So Trust Act, it has to be a resolution if there is no specific provision provided in the trust deed for closure. And Societies Act, generally societies memorandum and rules and regulation, there is a dissolution clause. According to you have to follow that process. And section 8 closing procedure, winding up procedure. Okay, this is the process as per these parent act. Then as per income tax, as per income tax act is concerned, your registration is cancelled. Your registration is already cancelled now. Okay, so you don't go for fresh registration. By following this procedure. So your registration was valid up to 31st March, and that is no more valid from 1st of April. Okay, so don't apply. Okay, what else?
So there's another query. Education trust registered 10 years back, not filed any IT returns, received more than 1 CR. Can they go for 12A registration? Is it advisable to go for registration?
See, basically, as I have told you, the participant may have missed that. So it is advisable to go for registration going, but purely education institutions are there. No, purely educational institutions are there. The limit is 5 crore now. So see whether you are falling in that category. If your limit is purely educational institution, you can take benefit of 1023C without registration. Only process is you have to file your return of income. The section says that return of income is to be filed. Earlier that limit was 1 crore. Now that limit is 5 crore. So a small school, it will be, I think, less than 60 lakh or 70 lakh, even with grant. Okay, so they are not required to, they can file the return even without registration if their gross receipts are up to 5 crore. Okay, not required. But if your receipts are going to be beyond 5 crore, then you apply. For registration under 1023C or either 12AB, etc. 12A, 12AB. Okay, next.
So that's all for the queries.
Okay.
Thank you, sir, for answering the queries of our members. Here, I would like to take this opportunity to thank you for sparing your time here on this Saturday morning. So as the saying goes by William Arthur Ward, feeling gratitude and not expressing it is like wrapping a present and not giving it. So I here on behalf of each member and Bhinder CP Study Circle at large, extend our heartfelt thanks and gratitude to you, sir, for sharing your in-depth knowledge and information. The practical exposures with respect to government portal, filing of forms, the highlights on different sections and its implication is icing on cake. The coverage to topic is very elucidate manner is exemplary. Thank you, sir, for gracing this VCM and having blessed us with your presence that has immensely enhanced its importance. Thank you, sir, for this valuable remark and word of cautions to our members for compliance with the recent amendments. A big thank you, sir, for this enriching session. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank
so
you,
much, sir.
members, for your
Thank you,
presence
members.
at this VCM.
Thank you.
I can log out.